It has been a busy winter season so far, and we know that the weather can certainly have a big impact on the economy, but the weather forecast also has a big impact, especially in the south. Don't we know it? Here to discuss is meteorologist and business analyst Paul Walsh. Good morning to you, Paul. Good to see you.
Good morning, Kelly.
So, yeah, as you know, we had some crazy times here in the south. How big of an impact would you say the forecast, just the forecast, has on the economy?
Well, Kelly, oftentimes the forecast can have a bigger impact than the actual weather. Of course, we've seen all the pictures on social media in Atlanta and other places in the South where the supermarket shelves are absolutely bare days in advance of the storm. I call that the forecast factor. It's an influence that businesses are paying more and more attention to because it's getting bigger and bigger.
And, let's talk about just how bigger it can get, especially when the actual weather is taking place.
Yeah, and really there's three reasons, Kelly, that this impact is getting bigger. Number one, weather forecasts are getting increasingly accurate. Of course, we know that, but people generally are more and more planning their lives based on the prediction of the weather. Secondly, think of how many of us are getting our weather information on our mobile phones. So people are checking that weather forecast a couple of times a day, so it's becoming a bigger part of how we're planning our lives. And thirdly, social media basically is expanding the influence of those weather forecasts. So when there's a snow prediction in the South, for example, all of a sudden the ranks of weather forecasters multiplies exponentially. What Marshall Shepard calls social meteorologists all of a sudden come out of the woodwork. So that message is amplified. Therefore, there's a much bigger surge of people going into the stores than we've ever seen before.
Yeah, be very careful with those social media posts, that is for sure. But, Paul, how do businesses prepare for these kinds of events?
Yeah, what they're doing more and more is they're using data and analytics to really study how these predictions influence what people are going to be wanting to buy. And then they use that knowledge with a forecast overlay so they can say, okay, there's a prediction of snow for this weekend in Atlanta, for example. The last 3 times that's happened, we sold 40% more bags of rock salt and 300% more bags of or cartons of milk. They use that information to make sure they have enough of that product before the storm hits, and then they also use it for staffing and advertising. So weather is becoming a really core piece of the way that businesses are serving us.
And brine was the word, too, Paul. We had a lot more of that to go around this year, it seems like, too. Thank you so much. Great to see you this morning. Stay warm. Who else is staying warm? Stephanie, we hope, up in Plymouth, Massachusetts.